Who Cried Wolf.
Help! Please!
Hey, you all right?
Ha ha ha! Got you. I was just kidding.
It's not good to cry wolf. It may get you in trouble someday.
Crying wolf?
Just like that shepherd boy who cried wolf.
Once, in a tiny village, there lived a shepherd boy. Every day, he grazed his herd of sheep on the hills nearby. One day, he felt very bored and yawned.
I am so bored today.
Just then, he had a mischievous idea.
Why not play a prank on some villagers and have fun?
Help!
So, he cried out loudly to the villagers working in the farms afoot the hill.
Wolf! Wolf here! Help! Help!
Hearing his cries, the villagers ran up the hill with clubs and sticks.
Where is the wolf?
The boy rolled with laughter.
Ha ha ha! Got you all! There is no wolf. I just made it up.
The villagers were furious and went back to their work grumbling. Find better work and make yourself useful, boy. A few days later, the boy tried the same trick. The boy cried out loudly.
Help! Please! There is a wolf here. Help!
The kind villagers ran up the hill again with clubs and sticks.
Where is the wolf?
The boy burst out in laughter.
I can't believe this. Oh my God, I fooled you again.
The enraged villagers walked away saying, "Enough of your pranks. Don't you bother us again." Days passed by, and then one day, a big, bad wolf was on the hill for real. And it started pouncing on the sheep. The boy panicked, seeing the wolf, and cried out for help.
Help! Help! There's a wolf killing all my sheep.
The villagers down the hill heard the boy's cries, but they did not believe the boy and ignored his cry for help. It's one of his stupid pranks again. So, no one came to rescue the shepherd boy and his sheep from the wicked wolf. The wolf killed and ate up all the sheep, and the shepherd boy was just lucky to have escaped from the wolf.
Oh, I am doomed. My sheep, my sheep. Help!
So,
Help!
the pranks played
Wolf
by the
here.
shepherd boy had turned against him. He paid heavily and learnt his lesson.
Oh, I am sorry, Minu. Pranks we play for fun may even harm us.
You got it right.
Story of the Hare and the Tortoise.
What's the matter, Mintu? Why are you laughing?
See how slow the snail is? Will it ever reach its home?
But size and speed does not matter if you have the determination and you never give up before trying. But if you are proud and overconfident, you may lose the race.
In a big forest, there lived many animals, big and small, tiny and large. There also lived a hare with his bunny teeth, soft fur, and long ears. He was very proud of himself.
I can run so fast that no animal is a match for my speed.
One day, he met a small tortoise who was crawling very slowly. The hare laughed and made fun of the tortoise.
Hee, how slow and drowsy are you?
The tortoise kept moving without paying much attention to the hare, but the hare made more fun of the tortoise.
Come on, race me or accept defeat.
The tortoise finally agreed. There's no harm in trying. I accept to race with you. They judged the tortoise. One of the animals says, "What a fool to race with the hare. There's no doubt the tortoise will lose." Before the race started, the friends advised the tortoise.
Better accept defeat gracefully before you are humiliated.
But the tortoise did not give up without trying. Let me try at least, no matter if I am defeated. The hare was too proud and overconfident about winning the race.
Show us how fast you can run. Oh, wait, actually walk.
The other animals cheered on, and the race finally started. 1, 2, 3, and go! The hare sprinted and off he was already far away, with the tortoise barely catching up and crawling slowly far behind. After some time, the hare had already covered a considerable distance, and there was no sign of the tortoise at all. The hare laughed to himself and decided to rest under a tree for a while. He thought,
Why put efforts? I shall win anyway. Let me take a short nap.
He soon fell into a deep slumber. On the other hand, the tortoise never gave up. He was slow but steady and continued moving towards the finishing line. Whereas at the finishing line, all the animals were waiting to see the hare run first and win the race. But they were all utterly surprised to see the tortoise slowly but steadily approaching the finishing line. They started to cheer and encourage the tortoise.
Keep moving!
Keep moving!
You can finish the race!
Meanwhile, the hare woke up from his sleep.
There is no sign of the tortoise. Now let me start again and finish the race first.
But he was taken aback to see the tortoise reach the finishing line well before him.
Unbelievable!
He was stunned to see the tortoise win the race. All his pride was shattered to dust. All animals cheered and congratulated the tortoise on winning the race, and the hare stood there with a sad face. The humble tortoise approached the hare and said, One should never be too proud and overconfident of his abilities, but one should always be humble and never give up before trying. In the end, the hare had learned his lesson that even if one is a bit slow but steady, will surely win the race.
Although slow, the tortoise won the race because he was steady and persistent, and he never gave up.
Right, slow but steady wins the race.
Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf.
Hey, are you all right?
It hurts badly.
But why aren't you wearing your knee pads?
I did not put so much of an effort. Thought I could manage without them.
Even if it takes a bit more work, it would have been worth the effort, Minu. Look at those 3 little pigs.
3 cute little pigs. They were happy and playful, and they lived together with the mother pig. But soon they were big enough to step out of their family home and build their own homes. The mother pig bade goodbye to her 3 little pigs. Take care, my babies, and always beware of that big bad wolf from the neighborhood. The 3 little pigs left their family home and walked together in search of a good piece of land to build their own homes. The first little pig soon found a good piece of land for itself and quickly built a house with some straw and sticks.
It's so cozy and was very easy to build. Now I need not fear that big bad wolf.
Soon the second little pig found a piece of land nearby, and it did not take him much time to build a house with some wood and nails.
This is just enough to keep a big bad wolf away.
The third little pig also found a piece of land nearby, but it thought a while. I better build a strong home to keep away that big bad wolf, no matter if I have to work a bit harder. So the third little pig took efforts to build a strong house with brick and mortar. The 3 little pigs stayed happy and playful, but not for long. The big bad wolf was up to no good. It loomed around the neighborhood for a chance to eat and gobble up all the 3 little pigs.
I must eat those 3 little pigs. They'll make a delicious meal.
Soon on a day, the big bad wolf was at the doorsteps of the first little pig. Big Bad Wolf.
Open the door, piglets, or I'll huff and puff and blow your house away.
The first little pig was terrified.
Oh no, I shall never open the door.
The big bad wolf huffed and puffed. It huffed and puffed. Poof! It blew away the house made of straw and sticks. The first little pig ran for its life and hid himself with the second little pig in the house made of wood. Soon, the big bad wolf was at the doorsteps of the second little pig. Big bad wolf,
Open the door, Piglet, or I'll huff and puff and blow your house away.
the two little pigs were terrified.
Oh no! We shall never open the door!
The big bad wolf huffed and puffed, huffed and puffed, and again it huffed and puffed. Poof! It blew away the house made of wood. The terrified two little pigs ran to save their lives and hid themselves with the third little pig in the house made of brick and mortar. Soon, the big bad wolf was at the doorsteps of the third little pig.
Open the door, Piglet, or I'll huff and puff and blow your house away.
The three little pigs were terrified.
Oh no! We shall never open the door!
The big bad wolf puffed and puffed again and again, but it could not blow away the house made of brick and mortar. The house made of brick and mortar was strong enough to withstand the blows. The big bad wolf waited for a long time for the three little pigs to come out of the house, but in vain.
I have had enough of this.
The big bad wolf climbed up the rooftop and tried to sneak into the house from the chimney. The third little pig was clever enough to figure this out. He soon lit the fireplace, and the flames from the chimney burnt the wolf badly. The wolf howled and cried in pain and ran out of the house.
I don't want to be back here again. Somebody save me.
So the three little pigs got rid of the big bad wolf and lived happily and peacefully ever after.
Thanks to all the hard work of the third little pig, it finally paid off well to drive away the troublesome big bad wolf.
Hard work rarely goes to waste, so put on your knee pads and gears. Let's skate!
The story of the thirsty crow.
Hey, what's wrong with you?
I'm feeling very thirsty, Minu. I can't walk any further.
I see a lake with sparkling water a little farther away from here, so let's keep walking. Come on!
No way. I am too tired. I give up. Let's wait here until we find some water.
Then we will never find any water. If we put some effort and be positive, we can make it there. Don't give up yet, Mindu. Haven't you heard the story of the thirsty crow?
It was a hot summer afternoon, and a very thirsty crow was flying above the ground looking for some water to quench his thirst. The crow thought to itself,
Caw, caw, my throat is all dry. I'm so thirsty.
But all his search went in vain. The sun's heat had dried up all the water, and there was not a drop of water to be found anywhere. After a long search, the crow finally spotted an abandoned pitcher under a tree. He flew down to it and was delighted to find some water still left in the pitcher. But the crow could not reach its beak to the water all the way down to the bottom of the pitcher. He was sad because he had flown very far to finally find some water, but could not reach the water lying at the bottom of the pitcher. However, he did not give up his hopes of getting the water. He looked around to see if it could solve his problem somehow. Just then he spotted many pebbles lying near the pitcher. He thought for a while, and a brilliant idea struck his mind. He hurriedly started picking up the pebbles and dropped them into the pitcher, one by one. Very soon, the pebbles displaced the water at the bottom of the pitcher, and the water slowly started raising up the pitcher. So, the crow continued dropping the pebbles, and soon the water rose to the mouth of the pitcher. The crow gulped the water to his content and quenched his thirst. The smart crow was all refreshed and happy. He flew back to the sky, leaving behind a lesson that where there is a will, there is a way. If you have a positive attitude, and if you think through with an open mind, you can resolve most of the problems that come your way.
I understand, and as a matter of fact, our situation is not as bad as the crows. Hey, wait! I have an idea. It will be easy if I climb onto those trees. I need not walk. I am a monkey. Wow, a cat in such fancy boots.
Make way! It's the Puss in Boots and his master, the Marquis of Carabas.
Marquis of Carabas? Who is he?
Come, let's see their story.
Once in a far-off land, there lived an old miller with his 3 sons. He had a mill, a donkey, and his dear cat. When the miller died, he left his mill to his eldest son, the donkey to his second son, and his dearest pet, the cat, to his youngest son, Pete. The mill and donkey were of good use to his brothers. But
what will I do with this cat? Anyways, our father loved him dearly. I must take care of him.
Pete was a kind and hard-working boy, but to his bad luck, he could not find any suitable job to meet his needs. Nevertheless, he took good care of the cat. Soon, the cat began to love and trust his new and affectionate master. One day,
Master, don't worry. Please trust me and we can turn our fortunes.
Pete was surprised to see the cat speak.
Master, now please lend me your boots, your hat, and that fancy bag. Trust me and please do as I say.
I don't know what you're up to, but I will trust you.
The cat wore the boots and the hat and ran off to the woods with the bag. He soon caught a rare rabbit from the woods. The cat ran to the king's castle and presented the rare rabbit to the king and the princess.
Your Majesties, I am the Puss in Boots. I bring a small present from my master, the Marquis of Carabas.
The king and the princess were very impressed with the present and the cat's mannerisms. The Puss in Boots continued to bring many gifts and presents to the king from the woods. The cat would amuse the king and the princess with many interesting stories and tales from far-off lands. One day, the cat got to know that the king and princess would be riding out along the stream. The smart cat soon devised a plan.
Master, let's go for a walk by the stream.
When they were near the stream,
It's so hot today. Master, why don't you take a swim in the stream?
soon the king's carriage arrived on the road along the stream. The cat quickly ran to the carriage.
Help! Help! Your Majesty! The thieves have stolen my master's clothes and our horses!
The king presented some finest clothes to Pete. Pete looked like a handsome prince in such clothes.
Your Majesties, Please visit our castle with my master.
The cat raced ahead to the green fields belonging to an evil and scary ogre. He struck a deal with the farmers who were tormented by the cruel ogre.
Dear people, I am the Puss in Boots. My master, the Marquis of Carabas, will help us get rid of that evil ogre only if you do as I say. The king and the Marquis of Carabas will be here soon. Tell the king that these fields and castle belong to the Marquis of Carabas.
Then the cat ran towards the castle to meet the ogre.
Long live the Marquis of Carabas and the king!
To whom do these fertile fields belong to?
To our lord, the Marquis of Carabas, your majesty.
By now, Pete is quite perplexed, but he trusts his cat with patience. Meanwhile, the cat presented himself before the ogre.
Sir, I am the Puss in Boots. I come with an important message from the king, but I need to speak to you alone.
Now, quick. What does the king want?
Sir, the king has heard about your rare abilities to change forms and is very much impressed with you. He wants you to marry his daughter, the princess. But...
But what? Tell me quick. I want to marry the beautiful princess.
But first, the king wants me to test your skills.
That's all? It's simple.
No sooner had the ogre changed into a ferocious lion.
Okay, I see that. This was easy. But can you change into a tiny mouse? Can you?
Silly cat. That's even more simple.
As soon as the ogre changed into a tiny mouse, the cat pounced on it and gulped it down his throat. That was the end of the evil and cruel ogre. The servants at the castle were grateful to the cat for freeing them from the evil ogre.
Listen, it was not me, but the brave and kind Marquis of Carabas that saved you from that ogre. He is our new master.
Soon after, the king's carriage arrived at the castle.
Long live the Marquis of Carabas! Long live the king!
The king and the princess were quite impressed, and the king announces the wedding of the princess with Pete. Pete, the Marquis of Carabas, finally marries the beautiful princess. The Marquis of Carabas is kind and generous to his people. Pete, the princess, and the cat in the boots all lived happily together.
Puss in Boots was so clever, just like me.
Clever indeed! Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Who is she, Minu?
She is Snow White, and these are the 7 dwarves.
But why is she sleeping? And why are the dwarves crying?
We will soon know. Let's watch her story.
Once upon a time, in a big castle, there lived a kind princess named Snow White. Snow White was not only the prettiest girl, but she was very kind and helpful too. All the animals and birds loved her. One day, her mother the queen passed away, and her father the king married again. Her stepmother was a mean and evil woman. The new queen was jealous of Snow White. She wanted to be the most beautiful and fairest of all. She asked her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror, tell me who is the fairest of all." The mirror replied, "Queen, I hear your call. Snow White is the fairest of all." The stepmother was furious and ordered her servants to take Snow White away to the woods and kill her once and for all. So the servants took Snow White for a ride in the woods.
Oh, I love to ride on a horse in the woods.
However, when they reached deep in the woods, the servants took pity on her, and instead of killing her, they told her about the evil plan hatched by her stepmother and left Snow White to her fate in the forest. Heartbroken, Snow White wandered for long and finally came across a small cottage.
Hello? Anyone at home?
The cottage belonged to the 7 dwarfs living in the woods. They had been away in search of food and fodder. Finding the house in a mess, Snow White cleaned and tidied the house and cooked a delicious meal for all. The 7 dwarfs were soon back home. They were grateful to Snow White for all the help. They shared their story, and Snow White shared her story.
It's all right. I have found a new home and new friends.
The dwarves and Snow White became good friends, and they played and sang together. Snow White was all happy with the 7 friendly dwarves. Meanwhile, overjoyed on getting rid of Snow White, her stepmother asked the mirror again, "Mirror, tell me who is the fairest of all?" The mirror replied,
Queen, I hear your call. Snow White is still the fairest of all.
The queen was furious. So, Snow White is alive? She threatened her servants and learnt the truth. Deciding to finally get rid of Snow White herself, she took a few poisoned apples and headed to the woods, disguised as an old woman. On finding Snow White alone, "My little girl, here are some delicious apples just for you."
Thank you, kind lady. I love apples.
As soon as Snow White took a bite, she fainted and dropped to the ground as dead as the wood. Finally got rid of you, Snow White. My work is done. On finding Snow White dropped as dead, the dwarves were very sad and broken. They laid her to rest in a coffin and mourned around her. Just then, a handsome prince passing through the woods. Being curious, he dismounted from his horse to see the 7 dwarfs crying around the beautiful Snow White. The prince could not contain himself, and his eyes were filled with tears. As his tears rolled down, they fell on Snow White's cheek. The tears of her true love woke up Snow White from her deep slumber. To everyone's delight, the handsome prince, Snow White, and the 7 dwarfs lived happily together ever after. And the evil queen met her fate and was sent to the dungeons forever.
Wasn't that a good story, Mintu?
Oh, yes! Ha ha ha!
Red Riding Hood.
I like what she's wearing, a Red Riding Hood. What is her name?
The Little Red Riding Hood!
Little Red Riding Hood was a lovely and cheerful girl. She loved to wear her red riding hood. One day, her mother called out to her, "Little Red Riding Hood, your grandma is unwell. Please take this basket of hot breads and hot pumpkin soup to her."
Sure, Mom. I would love to see Grandma.
Good girl, but be careful on your way. Don't wander in the woods, and don't stray away from the main road. And especially, don't talk to any strangers on the road. So Little Red Riding Hood set out, carrying the basket for her grandma. Lost in her own thoughts and humming a song, she soon forgot what her mother had told her. Little Red Riding Hood spotted some beautiful and sweet-smelling flowers in the woods. Tempted, Little Red Riding Hood strayed away from the road into the woods to collect some flowers for her grandma. Flowers will surely cheer up Grandma. As she was busy collecting flowers, a big bad wolf was lurking around, planning to eat up Little Red Riding Hood. But the cunning wolf thought for a while.
Wait, I can hear the hunters and their dogs barking nearby. And if the girl screams, the hunters and their dogs will surely tear me into pieces. Let me wait for the right moment.
Instead, the wolf tried to befriend Little Red Riding Hood.
Hello, little girl. Don't be afraid. I don't like to eat humans at all. Are you new here?
Little Red Riding Hood easily believed the sweet talks of the wolf and told him everything about her grandma and herself.
Oh, I stay nearby. I am visiting my grandma with these hot snacks for her. She is unwell and lives alone just behind that big windmill.
The big bad wolf now had a new plan.
Foolish girl. Let me reach Grandma's house from the shortcut. I will eat Grandma first and wait for this girl. And then these yummy snacks too. Okay, I have to go now. See you soon. Bye.
So as planned, the wolf took a shortcut and reached Grandma's house a bit early.
Grandma, open the door. It's me, Little Red Riding Hood.
But Grandma was out to see the doctor nearby and had left the door unlocked. Seeing nobody at home, the cunning wolf entered the house. He wore Grandma's dress, spectacles, and her cap, and then lay covered in her bed. A little while later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandma's house.
Grandma, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. Open the door.
Oh dear, the door is open. Come in.
But as soon as Little Red Riding Hood entered Grandma's room, she noticed that something was strange about Grandma. She hesitated to go close to her granny.
Grandma, you seem to be very ill. Your ears have grown so long.
Oh, so that I hear you well, my dear.
And your eyes so big and fierce.
Oh, so that I see you well, my dear.
And your teeth so long and sharp.
Just then, the real Grandma was back home, and as she stepped into the room, she was shocked to see the wolf in her bed. The alarmed wolf jumped towards Little Red Riding Hood, saying,
Sharp teeth, huh? So that I can eat you both.
Little Red Riding Hood was scared at the sight of the wolf, but she kept her presence of mind. As soon as the wolf neared her, she splashed the hot pumpkin soup on the wolf's face. The soup was really hot. The wolf howled and cried in pain, was unable to see anything, and fumbled around the room.
Oh, I can't see a thing.
Seizing the opportunity, Grandma raised a big hue and crying called out for help.
Help! Help! There is a wolf here!
All the noise and commotion had put the neighboring hunters and their dogs on alert. The hunters and their ferocious dogs chased the big bad wolf away into the woods.
Oh, someone save me from these dogs! I will never return to these woods!
The big bad wolf was never seen or heard of again. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandma.
Grandma, I am so sorry. I will never stray away in woods or talk to any strangers. I will always remember this lesson.
What an evil wolf that was.
So, it's better not to trust strangers.
Yes, especially a big bad wolf.
Duckling.
Why is it crying
because it thinks it's an ugly duckling.
It's not a duck, but a swan.
You mean it will grow up into a handsome swan?
Once a duck and a drake were eagerly waiting for their eggs to hatch. Soon it was time to rejoice. The eggs finally hatched, and out came 5 little ducklings, one by one. But one of them was very different from the rest of them. You are so different than the rest of us, but don't worry, you will be good when you grow up. But other ducks were not so kind and affectionate as the mama duck. All the other ducks and ducklings made fun of the young one.
Na 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 na. You are so ugly. You are not one of us. Look at you. You are so ugly.
Nobody wanted to play with the young duckling. He had no friends or family. He was all lonely and sad. He saw his reflection in the water and assumed,
Perhaps I may be really ugly. I don't want to see my reflection ever again.
Tired of all the bullying and rejections, the ugly duckling left his home and walked into the woods. Tired and lonely, and when all hope was about to be lost, a kind woodcutter took pity on the ugly duckling and took him home. The woodcutter took good care of the ugly duckling. The ugly duckling was happy to find a cozy and warm home. The ugly duckling grew bigger and bigger day after day, with strong wings and legs. One day, it flew to a nearby pond and wandered around the edge of the pond. The ugly duckling saw a wedge of swans playing in the pond and admired them.
What beauty and grace!
The swans noticed the curious ugly duckling.
Hi, want to play with us?
The ugly duckling was quite surprised. It was long since anybody had been so kind to him.
What, me? I would love to. I like your beautiful wings. What are you called?
The swan burst into laughter and said,
Same as what they call you.
Me? You mean an ugly duckling?
Who called you ugly? You're a beautiful and handsome swan.
What? Me, a handsome swan?
The ugly duckling peeped down to see his reflection. Yes, he had grown into a beautiful and handsome swan, and he had never even been a duck at all.
What a fool I had been to believe others all these days!
Come join us. We would be glad to have you as our friend.
The ugly duckling was finally happy and free. He realized that he was just different than the rest of the ducks.
Being so different does not mean ugly.
Yes, different is just being unique.
Like you and me. Ha 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 ha.
Cinderella and the Prince.
Mintu, here comes Cinderella.
But is she wearing only one glass shoe? Where's the other shoe?
Come, let's find out.
Once upon a time, there was a beautiful and hardworking girl named Cinderella. She lived with her loving father, a mean stepmother and stepsisters. But after her father died, her stepmother and stepsisters ill-treated Cinderella. She was made to work hard and toil all day long.
Quick, serve us tea and breakfast. Wash our clothes and clean our rooms.
But even with all these odds, Cinderella was always kind and helpful to others. With no other friendly faces around, the animals and birds were her only friends. One day, there was a royal ball at the palace in honor of the crown prince. Hear, hear! This is an invitation for all to the royal ball in honor of a crown prince. Cinderella's stepmother and her stepsisters were all ready and excited to attend the ball.
Hurry up, girls! You should be the most beautiful ones at the ball.
Mother, please let me come to the ball too.
A bad idea. You stay behind and look after the house. Look at your rags. You don't even have a decent dress for the ball.
Alas, Cinderella was sad and wished she could be at the ball. Just then, poof! A fairy godmother appeared from thin air. Oh dear, don't be sad. Oh, who are you? I am your fairy godmother, and I shall send you to the ball. But how? These will do. The fairy godmother waved her magic wand and turned a pumpkin into a beautiful carriage, a cat into a royal horseman, and a few scampering rats into beautiful horses. But my dress! Aha! And now a beautiful dress for you and sparkling glass shoes.
Thank you for your kindness.
But don't forget to be back before 12, as my magic will fade away at midnight. Enjoy yourself and take care. At the royal ball, Cinderella looked just like a beautiful and charming princess. Even her stepsisters and mother failed to recognize her.
She is so beautiful. I wonder who she is.
Cinderella was the most beautiful and charming girl at the ball, and everyone admired her. The handsome prince was drawn towards Cinderella. Will you dance with me? The handsome prince and Cinderella danced and danced at the ball, as all others watched their pretty dance. But not too long, the clock was about to strike 12 at midnight. Oh no, I must hurry, it's about to strike 12. Alarmed, Cinderella forgot about everything and hurried back to the carriage fast as she could. As she ran, one of her glass shoes slipped from her feet. But she managed to get onto the carriage and hurried away. However, the puzzled prince ran after Cinderella. What happened? Where is she? But to only find one glass shoe left behind by Cinderella. A glass shoe? As the clock struck 12, the magic faded away and all the magical things turned as before. The carriage changed back into a pumpkin, the horses into rats, and horsemen into a cat, and Cinderella was in her rags as before. Aha! Just on time. Days went by, but the handsome prince never forgot Cinderella. I wonder who the charming girl was. I must find her. So the prince ordered his royal servants to find the girl. Bring me the girl whose foot fits perfectly into this glass shoe. After unsuccessfully wandering all over the kingdom, the servants were at Cinderella's house. The stepsisters tried the shoe, but in vain. the shoe did not fit onto their feet. Now the servants insisted that Cinderella should also give it a try.
Let her try too.
Haha, she? It's a waste of time. She wasn't even at the ball.
She must. It's a royal order.
But when Cinderella tried the shoe, to everyone's surprise, the shoe fit perfectly into Cinderella's foot. It was her shoe.
Look, it's her. We have found the princess.
Hearing this news, the prince hurried to see Cinderella and was delighted to see that she was the same girl at the ball.
Will you marry me?
So the handsome prince and Cinderella married and lived together happily ever after. Oh, I like Cinderella.
No worries. Everyone loves Cinderella, don't we?
The Dog and the Bone.
Wow! A new toy! Come, let's play with it.
No, I don't want it.
But why? It's such a good toy.
I asked my mom to buy me 2 toys, but she got me only 1.
Now don't act greedy, Mintu. Let me share with you the story of the greedy dog and the bone and tell you what happens when you are greedy.
Once a hungry dog was lucky to find a piece of crunchy bone from the butcher's shop.
Splur! It's my favorite snack. Woof!
Grabbing the bone tightly between its teeth, the dog hurried back home, mesmerized with the idea of enjoying the bone in a cozy corner of its house. On its way home, it came across a narrow bridge overlooking a lake. The water in the lake was crystal clear. As it walked merrily over the bridge, it noticed its reflection on the surface of the clear water. The foolish dog mistook its reflection in the water to be another dog out there also carrying a bone between its teeth. The dog thought to itself,
What? A dog with such a big bone? I must somehow have that big bone all to myself. Let me snatch it off from that evil dog.
Without a second thought, the dog barked furiously and instantly jumped at its reflection in the water, aiming to snatch that big bone. In the process, the bone slipped from its mouth and tumbled into the water. The dog struggled not to drown in the water and barely managed to reach the banks to safety. At last it realized how foolish and greedy it had been. It turned home, hungry and sad, but wise, with the lesson that it is very foolish to be greedy.
No, I don't want to be greedy and end up sad like that dog.
Then let's play with it, Mintu.